So what about this theme of building bridges? Well, I think we have to build bridges between all the stakeholders. I think a great development in our field is really the integration of the community, both of men and women at risk, the investigators based in the countries at risk, but also in the US and in Europe, the clinical trial networks conducting this research, the regulatory agencies, again, in country and back in the US and in Europe, and also our sponsors, and very importantly, the media. I think we have to build bridges, absolutely, between all these stakeholders to keep the prevention agenda moving forward. 2 years ago in New Delhi, I was told by someone that they'd made a bit of an exception and they'd let us have a satellite on rectal microbicide development, which I was very pleased about. But it was very much seen, I think, as a marginal activity. I think there's no doubt now that the development of vaginal and rectal microbicides have to move ahead in parallel. Both are needed by men and women in the developed and developing world, and it's important that we bridge these differences in this area of development. And then I think we really have to bridge into integrating these interventions, both oral and topical microbicides, into the prevention toolbox. So, a little bit about the conference. Approximately 1,000 people have registered for the meeting, and hopefully, weather permitting, most of them will get here. These people came from 47 different countries. We were able to offer 411 scholarships. The majority, about 300, went to people from the developing world, and the remainder from the developed world, Europe, Latin America, North America. And that included scientists, community advocates, educators, and other representatives from the community. I have to acknowledge, really, the very generous sponsorship we received to hold this conference. Often people say, well, the registration is so expensive, that must have paid for the conference. Registration actually pays for about 10% of these conferences, and the other 90% comes from sponsors. And I really have to acknowledge a huge debt of gratitude to the Office of AIDS Research, who by far and away are the key funders for this important meeting. In terms of how we actually put the meeting together, we received 639 abstracts from 55 countries. It was a huge and very wonderful international response to the meeting. We had a multidisciplinary team, the Conference Scientific Program Committee, and the teams split out into groups 3 to 10 who reviewed all of the abstracts, scored all of the abstracts, and came to prioritization decisions. That resulted in about 455 abstracts being accepted, and of those 125 were accepted for oral presentation. So I'd really like to thank the Scientific Program Committee, many of them who are here in the room, for spending the time and the diligence incurred to look at all of these abstracts and to rank them. So what's different perhaps this year to 2 years ago in New Delhi? One of the big differences you'll notice is that rather than have tracks such as preclinical, clinical, behavioral, community, which tended to segregate people, we've really made an effort to try and thematically cluster topics so that in the same room you'll have advocates, scientists, regulators, sponsors. Whether it works or not, you'll have to tell us. We'll be having feedback forms for you to fill out, and it'd be wonderful if you'll do that and let us know if this idea actually works. I mean, we hope it's going to provide opportunities for interdisciplinary discussions and be more reflective of how we work. We don't work in silos, we tend to work in teams. That's very important. We've got a strong emphasis on posters. There'll be 300 of them, 100 each day. I'll have to catch them each day because they'll be taken down at the end of the day. And there'll be 12 poster discussion sessions, which will cull the best of the posters in what will often, I hope, turn out to be a very interactive, exciting opportunity, particularly for young investigators, to put their research out. This evening, in not very long, you'll be glad to know, we're going to have a reception outside. It was going to be on the rooftop, but it'll be equally wonderful here. I've been encouraged to tell you all to go to the 4th floor as well. The reception's on the 3rd floor, but there are surprises on the 4th floor, and I'll leave you to investigate. Now, on Monday evening, we're going to have a conference reception at the Phipps Botanical Garden, which is illustrated here. It's a wonderful, beautiful space. The previous occupants were the world leaders at the G20 summit, so you're following in their footsteps. I'm assured it will be sunny and 80 degrees on Monday, You may not believe that now, but it's probably going to be that way. And it'll be a wonderful opportunity to meet friends, make friends, and to network. So I encourage you all to go to that. And I think about 800 people have signed up, so it'll be quite a party. So just to end my introduction, any of us working in this field know that it's a tough field. There have been lots of setbacks and lots of disappointments. But when I was thinking about this presentation, I thought of a very great American who passed away sadly last year, and that's Senator Edward Kennedy. And when he really failed to get the Democratic nomination in 1980, he was very generous in defeat, and he gave this advice, mainly about the future of the movement, but I think it's words that would equally apply to those of us working in HIV prevention. And he said that for all of those whose cures have been our concern, the work goes on, the cause endures, the hope still lives, and the dream shall never die. And I think we have to think about that as we struggle and work and move the process forward. So I'll end by just welcoming you to Pittsburgh. It's what it should look like at night, and thank you for coming.